Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give a shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, also on Anchor FM and PayPal. And for some great gift ideas, go to amazon.com/the Mike Wagner Show. And for more great gift ideas, including pop sockets, hoodies, t-shirts, and a lot more, including Me and Motion's book, Missing, and many other available titles, go to amazon.com/Me and Motion's and order today. We're here with a terrific lady from outside of Toronto who is an author called Designer Divorce. She's a divorce coach, entrepreneur, and she has an MBA in finance and worked in consulting. And also she's written for the Huffington Post, Today's Parent, and Toronto Star, and more. Also co-authored as well too, and also has a guide out about decision making, which is called Engage the Fox. She co-authored in 2015, which is called Engage the Fox. We'll talk to her about that, and also she also provides some divorce tips and tricks, how to survive post-divorce, and more. And for those who are going through a divorce as well too, this is a must listen. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios from outside Toronto, ladies and gentlemen, the very, very multi-talented author and entrepreneur of the book Designer Divorce, Jen Lawrence. Jen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me on.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too. So you're the author of the book, Designer Divorce, which is out right now. You're also a divorce coach, entrepreneur, and you also have an MBA in finance, and you worked in consulting as well. And you also written for the Huffington Post, Today's Parent, the Toronto Star, and you also co-authored in 2015 a book called Engage the Fox, which is about a guide about decision-making and critical thinking in crucial times. You also provide divorce tips and tricks, the kinds of divorce and how to handle those. And also post-divorce, you'll have a support community as well, too. And before we get into all that, Jen, tell us how I first got started.
Yeah, well, I had a background in consulting and in banking, as you mentioned, and then I did freelance writing, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I went through my first divorce, and that was really hard. And I didn't apply any of the things that I knew to that divorce.
Wow.
Then I had a life, I got married again. And that divorce, I got divorced again. And that
and
time
again. I'm kidding.
Only the twice. Yeah, I'm not quite Elizabeth Taylor yet.
No. Stop. Please stop. No, stop.
In my second divorce, I thought, I'm actually going to apply some of what I know about critical thinking, finance, not making decisions while emotional, all the stuff that I've told, business clients in the past. I'm going to actually apply that to myself and see if that maybe makes the divorce go easier. And lo and behold, it did. And I thought, I wonder if I could help other people do this. So divorce coaching is a thing. So I became a certified divorce coach and a certified divorce financial analyst. And now I help people get through divorce with their wealth and their sanity intact.
That is interesting. And of course, you're applying these with common sense and everything. How does your program differ from from other traditional divorce methods, and also with divorce classes and divorce I'm trying to think. It's not therapy. It's divorce counseling. It's somewhere along those lines.
Yeah.
How's that different?
For me, I take a very practical approach. So I look at divorce as a project to manage. So, yes, there is the emotional aspect, and a lot of my clients also work with a therapist to unpack, how they got into that marriage, process some of the grief. But the reality is that divorce is one of the biggest business decisions you'll make of your life. You're
Hmm.
splitting half your assets, you're figuring out things like, child support, spousal support. So I really look at it from a business perspective.
Hmm.
So, what are classic thinking pitfalls like hoping that a judge is going to give you emotional justice? And that is not what the family court system is about. And a lot of people waste a lot of time and money using the courts for something for which they weren't designed. So it's, let's look at this as a business. Let's
Hmm.
kind of park those emotions to the side and actually try to figure out, like, what are your goals? What do you want? And then how can you structure a settlement to help make that happen? Because when you're just like fighting over percentages, it feels like everybody loses.
Hmm.
But if you have a goal, that might not actually be opposite to your former spouse's goal. And I just find you tend to get more win-win solutions, and people aren't, hoping for something that doesn't exist. There's no judge who's gonna, say your spouse is really bad, you're gonna get all the money. It just doesn't work that way. So it's how do you make good logical decisions at a pretty emotional, illogical time?
Hmm. And I was just thinking about the percentage in as well too. What's a typical percentage? Like say with the money, the assets, and everything else. What's the typical and reasonable percentage?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and it does differ from state to state, province to province in Canada. Generally, for long-term marriages, people look at equal, and again, it depends, are you community property state or not? So, a lawyer can really give you that information. But what I look at is, like, what do you want settlement wise and otherwise? Like, do you want a lump sum settlement because you're just done with this person and really don't want to see them ever again?
Hmm.
Are you co-parenting? In which case you will have a relationship with this person. And so things look different. So it really is not a one size fits all approach, which is why I recommend that clients try to get as much solved outside the courtroom as possible, because otherwise family judges, they don't know you, they don't know your family. They're going to make the best decision they can, and they're terrific people, but they don't know you the way you know you. So a lot of it is like, try to make those decisions with your former spouse and try not to let your emotions cloud everything.
Hmm. And also too, you think about like with the lump sum and the and the split and everything else. And there's some other methods. And what are some of the other methods as well too? And what is the most common?
Again, it really differs. The most common, if it's two people who both work and they have kids, really they favor, having kids spend time with both parents. And again, the judges just want things to be good for the kids. So however that works best, sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's weekend access. It really sort of depends. In terms of finances, again, it's they want both parties to have benefited for assets accumulated during the marriage,
Mhm.
so they try to divide things up fairly. So it's fairness isn't emotional fairness, though. So what looks fair in terms of a dollar amount that a judge will determine or that you'll determine with lawyers isn't necessarily emotional fairness. And again, a lot of people think, well, he cheated on me, so I should get all the money. And it just doesn't work like that.
Right,
So
exactly. It's not like Hollywood. They dress up Hollywood divorce as a really glamorous thing, but in reality, it's not.
no, it's an economic contract that you're unwinding. It has nothing to do with romance or who did what to who. You've entered into an economic contract in marriage, and now you're simply unwinding that economic contract. And that's divorce. The breakdown of a marriage, that's different. That's emotional. That needs to be grieved. But divorce itself, it's unwinding a contract. It's like a property deal or any other kind of contract that you might enter into.
Mhm.
So, emotion really doesn't have a place. That can be processed after your divorce.
Mm. And what are some of the tips and tricks as well too? Like you separate the emotion from going through the process of divorce. What are some of the tips and tricks that you offer?
I mean, for me, it's about have a safe place, whether, you got a kickbox, whether you like to scream into your pillow, whether you talk to good friends. But don't use your lawyer as the person that you're crying on their shoulder, because they're just too expensive.
Oh,
And
yeah.
right, they're too expensive.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be like this after one session, or putting a barrel over you.
That's right. So, find safe places, whether it's some people it's journaling, some people just like to go for a run. Like it really depends how you cut stress. Do more of that while you're going through divorce. And like sleep, eat well. Like everyone wants to, lay on the couch, watch Netflix and drink a bottle of wine. Well, during divorce, self-care is important. So, eat that vegetable, drink that glass of water, go to bed early.
Oh, that is amazing as well, too. And of course, the type of marriages, involved in divorce. You got the toxic divorce type. You got the controlling, and you got divorce without getting divorce,
Yeah.
and there's also like say with you're trapped and there's no money involved
Yes.
in those types, and
Yeah.
maybe just give us some solutions on how to navigate those, and if there's some other types like the type of marriages like say with traditional or I just I,
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank to be honest with you,
Well,
but
and I mean, you really do see all things, but I do deal a lot with clients who are dealing with high conflict divorce. So where one of the parties is pretty toxic, and in that case, it's really get a good lawyer and let your lawyer know what you're going through. And if, for example, say there's money there, but you don't have access to it, tell the lawyer, because often they want retainers up front, but there are lawyers who, if they know the money's there, they can put temporary orders in place so that you have exclusive possession of the house, for example, or can get access to bank accounts that are joint, but maybe you don't have the PIN number to. They can use the court system to free up some money so that then you can retain them properly. The mistake people make in divorce is not telling people, whether it's because of shame or embarrassment. They won't say to a lawyer, look, I don't have access to money. Here's our situation, but I can't access it. Can you help me? Because there's certain lawyers who can do that. Others won't. Maybe they've had an affair and they're feeling guilty and they don't want to disclose that. It's kind of like going to the doctor. It really doesn't benefit you to pretend that you don't smoke. I mean, you really
right,
need to
yeah.
let them know. Disclose to your divorce team what's going on. Believe me, we have heard it all. And the more information we have, the more we can help you.
hmm and of course, you also have your other book as well, too, co-authored in 15, Engage the Fox. We'll talk about that along with more about desiring divorce and more. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by SoundCloud Studios. Visit online at soundcloudstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? SoundCloud Studios is the answer. SoundCloud Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosendia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Mosendia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosendia is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon at paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosendia has garnered great reviews and even endorsed and loved by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Mosendia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo 7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today, and support the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com and also on Anchor FM/support and PayPal. And for some great gift ideas, including pop sockets, t-shirts, hoodies, and a lot more, go to amazon.com/the Mike Wagner Show. And for more great gift ideas, and also including great books by me and Mo Zia, including Missing and more. Go to amazon.com/me and Mo Zia. You can order today. We're here with author and divorce coach and entrepreneur Jen Lawrence of Designer Divorce here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we get back in your book about Designer Divorce, you also co-authored in 15 Engage the Fox. It's about guy about decision making, and tell us about engaging the fox.
Yeah, absolutely. It's written like a fable. So it's actually written like a fairy tale or a fable. So it's actually pretty easy to read for a book that's based on, decision-making process and neuroscience and all that good stuff. And basically, it follows a very similar principle to getting through a divorce. It's about when you need to make a decision, you need to do four things. You need to gather information, you need to generate ideas, you need to evaluate those ideas, and then you need to make sure that all of the parties involved are going to agree to those ideas. And it's very similar when you're making decisions in divorce. And it's good to not rush to conclusions, because even like the biggest question divorce coaches get asked typically is, should I stay in my marriage or should I get a divorce? And it's like, that only gives you two options. So those are two options, but what are other options? Maybe you stay in your marriage with totally different conditions. Maybe you separate for a while. Maybe you go to discernment counseling. Some people strategically stay. They decide, I'm going to stay in the marriage, and whether they do it using a postnuptial agreement formally, or they just, make their own decision. Their spouse doesn't necessarily know they're staying strategically. They're like, I'm going to sock away some money, or I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to wait till the kids are older. These are all options. So often people think, do I want a lump sum or do I want to do monthly? Do I want to stay in the marriage? Do I want to go? And the reality is, if you take the time, and this is whether it's a business decision, a divorce decision, really any decision in your life, to gather information, generate as many ideas as you can, as many possibilities, evaluate those possibilities, try to keep emotion out of it. And then, in divorce, that agreement piece is really important, because if you know your spouse is 100% not going to do something, like maybe they just love this green sofa and they are just not going to get rid of that sofa.
No, please, not the sofa. I got to sleep in it.
There are so many people who dig in. They may not even like the color green, but they just, they fight for the sake of fighting because they want to win. And so they both are passionately fighting over the sofa. You hear all these tales about sofas being sawed in half. And you know what? It's so silly. If you know that your partner desperately wants something and you can have everything else, there's so much to be said, both A, in terms of goodwill, and B, just in terms of smart negotiation strategy. Let them have the green sofa, and then you can sort of get everything you need. So it's that not fighting for the sake of fighting. It's not making decisions that the other party is not going to like. And a lot of people in divorce, they get kind of petty. It's like, oh, I'm going to take his sports jersey collection, and I'm going to take her handbag collection. And, it just gets so petty and spiteful. And again, you're doing this at hundreds of dollars an hour, clicking away on your lawyer's fees. So it's just take that broad mindset, take the higher road, and you know what? Give them the green couch.
And of course, you guys buy one on Amazon, eBay, or just go to your local store. And what are some of the more unconventional methods, when it comes to divorce? It's just like, fighting over the green, sofa, or literally cutting a house in half, or, cutting a car in half, or maybe like, play tug of war with your cat or dog to see who comes out first. It's like, right. What are some of the methods that you heard from people?
Well, right now with COVID, with COVID, right now with COVID, because, a lot of the real estate markets are bumpy, lots of people can't move, sometimes the courts are slow, and both people may be stuck in the same home. And the reality is, if it's the marital home, unless there's been cases of abuse, you're typically both entitled to stay in it. So you hear, the fridge with the masking tape down it, and it's like, this is my milk and this is your milk. And it's, if you don't have kids, and I guess you have a lot of extra energy, do what you do. But if you've got children, I mean, that is so negative for them to be thinking, do I drink, mom's milk or dad's milk? And whose yogurt was that? Like, again, it's just the high road is always the right road. I've never had anyone say, wow, I really regret being a good and decent person during my divorce. I've heard of people regretting being a doormat. Being decent and being a doormat are really different. But, people who get really petty and spiteful and like, sell the husband's golf clubs for 50 cents or whatever it
Oh, I
is.
have heard those stories. And I even heard about a story in Illinois where the husband says to his ex-wife, hey, can you sell the car for me? It was a brand spanking new Camaro and sold it for a quarter.
Right. And the reality is, not only is that a bad thing to do, it'll tend to get addressed in the process. So, you'll actually end up having to pay them for that, for making that sale. So it ends up coming back to bite you. And it's just, that's not the way you want to live. The high road's always the good road to take.
Mhm. And of course too, since you're in Canada as well too, and of course during the pandemic, and you do consulting, coaching through Zoom and everything, and what would you say too that you also deal not just in Canada but in U.S.
Yeah.
What would you say the divorce process, or is it like the degree of intensity? Is it compared between Canada and the United States? Which is more difficult, which is more intense, which has more lax rules, and maybe a difference of like divorce policies between US, Canada, and other parts of the world.
Yeah, I mean, Canada and the US is fairly similar in terms of our kind of philosophical approach to divorce. I think the US is a lot more state driven. So in the US, you really want to have an attorney who absolutely understands your state law. I mean, they would have to be an attorney, but any divorce professional, you want to understand your state laws. Canada, we do have a federal divorce act as well as provinces dictate property. So
Oh,
it's
really?
a little bit easier in Canada in some ways. But we see the same dynamics.
Hmm.
There's some countries that still there's fault divorce, whereas Canada and the U.S. are both no fault, and it's just really about the marriage is over. Let's divide up the properties. So
So,
both take a very business
so,
approach.
so just to clarify, the no fault is simply say that's it, marriage is done, split in half, let's just get out of there, right? Is that it?
Yeah, and it's not about proving someone's cheated or anything like that. Like the only time when that really comes into play is you need to determine the date of separation because the assets tend to be from date of marriage to date of separation in certain jurisdictions. And so if someone had a bunch of mistresses and they were funneling a bunch of money to their various other families,
Oh my gosh.
you might actually be able to park some of those debts with them because you can prove, hey, they weren't really in the marriage because they had all these other families.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so, sometimes that's material, but that's the only time when someone's bad actions, like lots of people, and this isn't about abuse, because abuse you do need to document, that is a separate issue. But just in terms of like monitoring, like, well, he has a girlfriend now, or, she has a boyfriend now, it really doesn't matter. And people drive themselves crazy monitoring this stuff. It really doesn't matter. The marriage is over. That's all the courts care about. And it is what it is.
Hmm.
So,
Right, exactly. And then getting back to about the federal act in Canada as well, too, for those not familiar with it, what is the federal act when it comes to divorce in Canada?
So it's a federal divorce act. We've actually just have a new one coming into place in March, and it dictates basically like general policies towards splitting parenting time, which is what we call custody, basically. Some general support guidelines, property division, those provincial. So it's a little bit different in terms of how you divide up property. So it really depends. Like in some cases, the marital home is split 50-50, no matter who put in what money.
Hmm.
And in other cases, if you had a lot of money going into a marriage, sometimes that can be backed out. So again, a lot of people do DIY divorce. And if you're young, don't have a lot of assets, there are no children, that, it's certainly a low cost way to go. Once you've got kids though and sizable assets, a family attorney is really the way to go. And you can manage your lawyers. People hear horror stories or they see these, films on Netflix or whatever where the lawyers are, ruining their families. But
Oh,
family
yes.
lawyers, like family judges, really do want what's best for the family. But you're the client and you need to manage your attorney and you need to let them know this is what I want. These are my wishes. These are my goals, because it's your divorce. It's not their divorce. They don't have to live with it.
Mm.
And that's a mistake I see clients making is they just don't want to deal with it. So they let attorneys run the whole thing. And then
Mhm.
they get mad at their attorneys. But it's like, well, did you tell them that this was what you wanted? Oh, no, I just assumed they would know. Well,
Mhm.
they're not mind readers. So,
Right.
tell them.
Right, exactly. They interpret the law as is. You talk about different provinces having different, rules, regulations, and everything. What's considered the most lenient province versus like the most strictest province in Canada?
I mean, they're all fairly similar, and it's really just nuances. I mean, the general approach to marriage is, what was earned during the marriage is distributed. So if someone comes into the marriage with a lot of money, that tends to be protected. If someone gets a big inheritance, that tends to be protected. But if you've earned certain assets during a marriage, it's seen that it's fair to divide those fairly evenly. Now, again, there's community property states in the US and there's equitable division. And so that's where a lawyer is going to advise you what your rights are and what your responsibilities are under the law. I know child support can really vary from place to place. In Canada, it tends to be more consistent. So again, that's why I say either have an attorney or do a lot of research. Most family courts tend to have an office or information that can walk you through state divorce laws. And it's good to really get to know those and go to the actual law. Like, don't just listen to your friend at the supermarket, because they may not know. They may have had a very different case. Like, you get that all the time. Well, my friend gets this much in child support. Why don't I? Well, because they have a completely different picture. So it really is the law, and your attorney is the very best interpreter of that law. But you're the best person to decide what you want for your life. So let your attorney know.
And that's very true as well, too. And you also offer a post-divorce community forum for women, the Design Divorce Recovery Community. That's for post-divorce and also recovery as well, too. And tell a bit about those, especially after the divorce.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And after the divorce is really the time to heal. That's when you can start to go through all that emotional processing and get mad and sad and be looking at the whys and the wherefores. For me, I didn't do that after my first marriage, and I ended up getting married again. And, then it's like, maybe I just should have healed, rather than just...
Will you marry me? Not yet. I have to go to the doctor first.
So I really do say, take the time to figure out what you want, because so many things change after divorce. Like, if you had a couple friends that you went out for dinner with or played tennis with or whatever, I mean, a lot of that shifts. So your friendships change, your community changes. Some people's, church or place of worship will change. It's a very big change. And so that can be a bad thing, or that can be an amazing thing. Like, not often as adults do we have a chance to hit the reset button. And divorce is really one of those. Maybe you want to get into shape. Maybe you want to live in a different place. Maybe you want to, try apartment living or country living. It really does let you look at every aspect of your life and make some new choices. So, take that year after divorce to figure out who you are, what you want, and how you want to go about getting it. So if you don't see it as a negative and you see it more as an opportunity, it really makes the process so much easier.
And definitely does. And where can we find your book at, Design Divorce?
It's on Amazon. So it's The Design Divorce on Amazon. And if you go to designeddivorce.com, you'll find all my links to, Instagram, Twitter, all the things you can access. Some of my communities, some of which are free, some of which are paid. And you can find out all my tips and tricks. I do blogs, so there's fresh information on there all the time. And you can find out how to make yourself preserve your wealth and your peace of mind in divorce.
Ooh, I can hear all the people give a big sigh of relief. And what's coming up for author Jen Lawrence of Design Divorce? We'll find out in just 1 minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by SoundCloud Studios. Visit online at soundclubstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, The Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia and Mohsen Zia of Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with author Jen Lawrence of Design Divorce after this timeout. We're back once again with author Jen Lawrence, also divorce coach, entrepreneur of Design Divorce on the Mike Wagner Show. She also previously, co-written in 15 Engaged the Fox. She's also, written some articles for Huffington Post and Today's Parent and more. And also, since you got the books as well, too, what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond, Jen?
Yeah, 2021, a lot of my clients are dealing with trapped capital, financial abuse. They can't access their own money. And it's something that people are becoming aware is a form of domestic abuse because it keeps people trapped. And so that's really where a lot of my work is. So I'm on a national task force in Canada where we're trying to look at changing some banking regulations and some government rules so that people can access their money. Very often, especially if someone has left the workforce to look after kids, they find themselves that they can't really access any money. It's hard for them to go back to work and they can really feel very trapped. So that's certainly a place where my heart is. And I want to, add some education and some help for people. And then just continuing private coaching. Divorce coaches, we don't just deal with people in divorce, we also deal with people contemplating it. And certainly the pandemic has made a lot of people think about it. And contrary to what people might think about a divorce coach, I'm actually not pro-divorce, even though it's worked out very well for me personally.
It's not you, it's me.
So a lot of the time I tell people that, is this that you don't get along with your partner, or is it the fact that, COVID has made us all crazy because we can't do anything? So again, it comes back to that, critical thinking. The question I always ask is, what can you not do being married that you really want to be doing? And if the answer is I want to be dating a lot of other people, well, maybe divorce is the thing you need to look at. But if it's like, oh, I really want to play pickleball, well, can you play pickleball while you stay married? Maybe you
pickleball.
can. Well, whatever random thing it is, maybe your partner doesn't want to, but they're fine with you doing it on your own. Maybe they want to. So it's like, if there's something that you want to do, don't necessarily think it's your partner holding you back. Like, yeah, they're irritating you. Everybody's irritating each other. And you're probably not thinking of getting rid of your children or your pets. So the same applies to your spouse. Like, everyone's getting on everyone's nerves. It's been a very hard, 12, 18 months. So yeah, I guess it's only 12 months, but it feels like 18. So
I'm sorry, what day is it again?
Oh my gosh, what year is it?
Or what month or what year is it? Thanks to COVID.
Oh my gosh, I know. So it's try to apply some critical thinking skills. Like, is it your spouse you're frustrated with, or your life? I have a lot of people who've been at home, their kids are going to university. They're like, I think I hate my husband. And I'm like, maybe you hate the fact that your kids are leaving the nest. You feel like you're being fired from your stay-at-home mom job, and you're scared about the next chapter. That doesn't necessarily mean your husband's the problem. Maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to start a business. So it's really looking at, is it the marriage causing the problems, or am I just like unhappy? And so that's a lot of the conversations that we have when it's not clear if someone should stay or go. So, if you're sitting there thinking, I think I need a divorce, but I don't know, try to take a step back and do some critical thinking, or contact a coach. I mean, there's lots of us that are certified divorce coaches, and we all have specialties. Mine is high net worth, high conflict divorce, but there's coaches who deal with just about every specialty, and we can really help you through that process.
And how do they get a hold of you for coaching?
For me, you can go to designeddivorce.com. And there's lots of, links and stuff to reach me. And if you want another certified divorce coach, you can just look up Certified Divorce Coach. It's a certification. There's a bunch of us, and we're all really good. We're well trained. So
sounds good. We'll let everybody know about that, going through divorce as well, too. We're here with author Jen Lawrence of Designing Divorce here on the Mike Wagner Show. And just a few more minutes as well, too. We'd love to have you back on. And thank you for your time. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Biggest influence on my career? Probably my dad. It's even though I've refused to go into the family business, he's an entrepreneur, and just, growing up watching an entrepreneur do his thing, it inspired me to try to create a space for myself as well.
That's fantastic. What's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
At this point, hang in there. And don't make assumptions. Like, don't just assume that something is, bad because it's inherently bad. It's been a really, really hard year. So wait till things normalize, open up. And if you're still feeling the same way, whether it's about your job, your spouse, anything, then take some action. But again, don't let emotions always drive the bus.
And that's a very good point, too. Once again, author Jen Lawrence of Design and Divorce here on the Mike Wagner Show. Jen, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact, where can people purchase or check out your books?
Awesome. So if you want to reach me, it's Jen Lawrence. It's designeddivorce.com. You can buy my book, The Design Divorce, on Amazon, and also Engage the Fox. My book on critical thinking is on Amazon as well.
That's fantastic. Once again, Jen, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keeps us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And don't forget to keep in touch. You've been absolutely terrific. Let's do it again.
Thanks so much, Mike.